to the entertainment Talking Sports.
What is going on, football fans? And yes, I am going to dive into the fiasco that is the Washington Redskins and the bombshell report that came out regarding Daniel Snyder and the organization. Of course, they're our division rival. They're not the New York Giants. There hasn't been a lot of New York Giants news to talk about with you guys. I'm kind of waiting till we get back in the fold with training camp. Also going to be, obviously talking about Marcus Golden. The deadline for that is July 22nd. And as of now, training camp's supposed to start on July 28th. So we'll see how that all plays out. Over the last 2 days, I've been thinking of things to try to get up on the channel to talk about that are broad NFL. And I'm going to have some broad NFL content up tomorrow. I'm going to start talking about more broad topics, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So hopefully you guys check some of those videos out. Really taking my time with it, making sure they're well edited. But in this video, I'm going to dive into the big story coming out of Washington that was reported by the Washington Post, which, of course, if you go to click it, they charge you $1, and you knew that they were going to do that, but I was able to find it on another website and pull up some of the quotes from the article. And there were a number of women in this article. I think it was 15. We'll get into the exact quotes that came out and said that they were sexually harassed, things of that nature. And, of course, late last night, the radio broadcaster of the Washington Redskins unexpectedly retired. And to no surprise, he is linked in these allegations by these women. And some of the things that you're going to hear are disgusting. It's par for the course with the Washington Redskins. The organization has been a dumpster fire since Daniel Snyder's been the owner. You can make an argument that Daniel Snyder is the worst owner in the entire NFL and possibly all of sports. He is that bad. And the New York teams have a lot of bad owners, but Daniel Snyder's pretty bad. Some of the things he's done for that organization. And there are whispers and rumors from around the league, supposedly. I remember reading it last night, that a lot of the owners want Daniel Snyder out, and we'll have to wait and see if this does affect his ownership role with the Washington Redskins. Along with that, a number of the minority owners that have a small stake in the team have already said that they want out as well. FedEx, the reason they had to, ended up changing the name, which Daniel Snyder's been adamant about not changing for years, the reason that they had to end up changing it was FedEx threatened to pull out. Well, now some of those minority owners are threatening to just leave the team after what's come out in this article. But let's jump right into the quotes, and then I'll give my final opinion on all of it. But I wanted to get everything up for you guys in case you guys have not heard about the story. The first thing is this. 15 former female employees were cited in an exclusive report released by the Washington Post on Thursday, which details a pattern of verbal, abusive, and unwanted sexual overtures that span the ownership of team president Dan Snyder. The article revolves around Emily Applegate, a former marketing coordinator for the Washington Football Club. They're not calling them the Redskins there because anticipating they're going to change their name. Who said she would join other female employees in the bathroom to vent their frustrations with comments made about their physical appearances. Applegate recounted how she had been instructed on more than one occasion to wear a tight dress so the men in the room had something to look at. And that sounds like something you'd hear in like the 1960s, 1970s, not to say that it was ever acceptable, but, even in this day and age, how stupid can you be? It was the most miserable experience of my life, the 31-year-old Applegate told the newspaper, and we all tolerated it because we knew if we complained, and they reminded us of this, there were 1,000 people out there who would take our job in a heartbeat. So basically she's saying that it was a good paying job. They feared that they wouldn't be able to get another good job, and they felt pressured to not come out and say anything. Next quote we're going to pull up is this. Several executives, including Larry Michael, the team's longtime radio voice, the guy I was just talking about who retired yesterday unexpectedly, and Alex Santos, the team's director of pro personnel, resigned earlier this week in anticipation of the searing report. Michael, who refused to speak with the Washington Post, was caught on a hot mic in 2018 commenting on the physical appearance of a college-aged intern. And supposedly this guy, I think, from the quotes I'm going to pull up here, was old enough to be your grandfather. I have never been in a more hostile, manipulative, passive-aggressive environment, and I worked in politics, said Julia Payne, a former vice president of communications for the team, who also served as an assistant press secretary in the Bill Clinton administration. How ironic is that? She's saying that this was worse than when she worked for Bill Clinton. Of course, Bill Clinton was accused of sexual misconduct with Monica Lewinsky, and she said that this was a much worse environment. Next thing we're going to pull up is this. One complaint occurred in 2018 when Michael was caught on a hot microphone while taping a video for the team, making inappropriate remarks about an intern. It was disgusting, said one former employee who heard the audio. This is a grown man who could be my grandfather, and he's talking about someone younger than me. A female employee complained about the video to the team's legal department, and a team attorney took the hard drive from the employee. When the hard drive was returned, the file was deleted. So it's just getting darker and darker as you start to read more into this story. While we do not speak to specific employee situations publicly, when new allegations of conduct are brought forward that are contrary to these policies, we address them promptly, the Washington NFL team said. I'm assuming Daniel Snyder's behind those remarks. The accused employees include individuals described as members of Snyder's inner circle. Michael was accused, and Michael again is the broadcaster, of commenting on the attractiveness of a female intern. Santos was accused of making inappropriate remarks of a sexual nature to team employees and covering the franchise, while Mann was accused of commenting on whether a female employee's breasts were enhanced. All three men declined to comment. And I don't know what else to say. It's not very good, but let's keep going. Other accused individuals included former president of business operations Dennis Green, who allegedly asked female employees to wear suggestive clothing, and former chief operating officer Mitch Gresham, who was accused of verbal abuse and improper remarks. Green declined comment, and Gresham denied wrongdoing. Snyder was not personally accused of any harassment, but was alleged to have presided over a company culture that condoned verbal abuse of staff. And if this is true, and there's no reason to think that it isn't, if this is all true, I got to think that Daniel Snyder is probably going to be forced to sell the team. And then this is the minority owners outside of Daniel Snyder talking about wanting to move on. The team's three minority owners, FedEx CEO, and FedEx, of course, like I said, had already threatened to take their name away if the Redskins did not change their team name, which they're in the process of doing. He's threatening to pull out. The FedEx CEO, Fred Smith, Black Diamond Capital CEO, Robert Rothman, and NVR Inc. Chairman Dwight Schar are attempting to sell their stakes due to dissatisfaction with Snyder's leadership. And that's all I pulled up in terms of the article, but I mean, Daniel Snyder's always been known as a horrible owner. He's always had that reputation with the Washington Redskins. I also read a comment on Twitter. I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but there was something leaning to the fact that John Gruden got into a fight with one of the players, and he benched them because of it, because they were fighting over a woman, and because of that, it kind of led to Alex Smith's injury. There's a lot of mess going on right now with the Washington Redskins, and it's been a completely dysfunctional organization since Daniel Snyder's been the owner. And I'll tell you what, if I was a Redskins fan, and now you're getting a new beginning in terms of a team name, maybe it was the right time to move on. When you start to hear things like this, maybe it was time for a change in culture. And things can't get much worse than the way they've been in terms of rooting for a football team. The Washington Redskins, since their days with Joe Gibbs, who I consistently say might be the most underrated coach in the history of football, to win 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks over a 10-year stretch or so, is incredible. But since the days of Joe Gibbs, this team has been a complete dumpster fire. And the main reason for it is your owner, Daniel Snyder. If I was a Redskins fan, I would be very happy if they decide to move on from Snyder due to this. Of course, this is very unfortunate, and it's a horrible situation, and women should never, be treated that way in the workplace. And, I'm glad that they're coming out and sticking up for themselves, and, I only wish they could have done it sooner. I get what they were saying, though, that they felt pressured not to say anything, because who knows how much they were making, who knows what other opportunities they may have had they come out and complained about it to the press. So that is, that supposedly is why this story has taken so long to come out. I guess innocent till proven guilty. We'll have to wait to see how it all plays out. But the fact that the radio announcer retired unexpectedly, along with a bunch of other people, like you read in the article, due to the fact that this story was coming out, leads me to believe that this is a very dirty situation in Washington. And I expect to see a complete overhaul, and there's a very good chance that Daniel Snyder will have to sell the team. The fact that the minority owners already saying they want out, I think will only put added pressure on Snyder to get rid of the team. And it's kind of sad. I'm an NFC East fan. I'm a New York Giant fan. Obviously, I hate all the teams within the division, but you never want to see something like this happen to one of your rivals. I may not like the Redskins, but I respect them and their history. And it's just sad for the league. It's sad for all those women that had to go through this. And, hopefully, like I said, the Redskins get a fresh start. They move on, and they can learn and grow from this. But I don't think Snyder will be the owner. But we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out, especially due to the fact that the other NFL owners seem to be on board with trying to get him out of there. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.